Scott. Today I'm going to be doing a review on 3 e-liquid flavours which I received from www.alba-vapours.co.uk. Before I start, I must point out I did receive them free of charge for the purpose of conducting a review. My opinion of the product remains true, honest and accurate as always. Okay, so the 3 flavours they sent out were menthol, cherry frost and high energy red, which is obviously trying to be like the drink Red Bull. They're all a PG VG mix, which I think it's 70% PG, 30% VG, and the ones they sent me out are all 18mg strength. Obviously I've got 3 different cartomisers that have just been sort of filled up with each flavour, and I'm using just a 3-ohm bow cartomiser on a SVR, and it's currently set at the 4.5 volts. 4.5 volts, should I say? Well, it's the same difference. So I'm going to start off then with the menthol one. As you can see, like vapour-wise, you know, you're getting a really nice amount of vapour. But obviously you have to bear in mind that the amount of vapour production you're going to get is going to be very dependent on what you're actually using, what sort of cartomiser or atomizer you're using, what resistance, what voltage, etc, etc. But nevertheless, so as you can see, you know, still getting a very nice amount of vapour. The flavour of it, now, anyone who's watched any of my videos before knows I'm a very big fan of the menthol flavoured e-liquids, and I do tend to only really sort of vape menthol or one of my sort of favourite tobaccos, and that's it. And so like I've had a lot of menthols over the last few years now that I've been vaping, and you know, I do personally like my menthols to be like very strong, and this one's just not quite cutting it for me in like the menthol sort of strength. Obviously, it still is. I'd still say it's quite a strong menthol. Like for the average sort of person, but for me I do like it to be, you know, a lot stronger. It's got that slight sort of minty aftertaste to it, but it's definitely like a true menthol liquid where you're getting that feeling as though it's sort of clearing out with your sinuses. But just for me, just not quite strong enough. Then it's got a very nice sort of minty sort of aftertaste to it. And throw hit wise, now I personally find that the higher the nicotine content of the e-liquid, like the stronger or the harsher the throw hit. And this is 18mg strength, which isn't sort of too high or too low, and I'm still getting that really nice sort of thump in the back of of my throat. Obviously, again, other things will sort of play a part in the throat hit. Obviously, like what sort of voltage you're using, what sort of atomizer, resistance, etc, etc. But nevertheless, so it is a very nice sort of menthol flavoured e-liquid. If you don't like your menthols overly strong, I'm sure you'd really like it. Okay, I'll move on to the next one then, which is going to be the, I'll do the high red energy. I might have said it the wrong way around at the start. I think I said high energy red, but high red energy, which is obviously trying to be like a Red Bull flavour. Now I've had some like Red Bull flavours before in the past. Never been a massive sort of fan of them. Like I said, I tend to stick to me tobaccos and my menthols. Never been one for the sort of fruity flavours. And when I've had the Red Bulls, I've always found them to be sort of quite sickly after a while, because they do tend to be sort of overly strong. Whereas this one, out of all the Red Bulls I've tried, which to be honest isn't that many, probably about 3, maybe something like that, this is probably definitely the nicest one, just because it's not quite overpowering as some of the other ones that I've tried. So just and it does taste pretty much exactly like the Red Bull drink. So like I said, with the other ones, like I could probably only vape them for maybe sort of 30 minutes before I start thinking I'll get that stuff away from me. But this one, It's still not going to be an all-day vape for me, but I suppose I could, you know, sort of stomach maybe 2 hours sort of tops. So like, you know, I've not really been using it a massive amount, like I said, because I'm not a massive fan of sort of fruity type flavours. But you know, I've been giving it a sort of a fairly good vape, and sort of enjoying it as much as I can with sort of fruity flavours. But you know, if you like your fruity flavours, and especially if you like Red Bull flavoured drinks, then you'd absolutely love it. If you don't like Red Bull flavour, then you probably hate it. So you know, you have to sort of make of that what you will, really. So to sort of summarise it, you know, if you like Red Bull, you'll love it. If you don't like Red Bull, you won't like it. But it does taste sort of pretty much exactly like a can of Red Bull, really. And the throw hit and that, you know, again, exactly the same as the lot of the menthol one. So move on to the last one, which is the Cherry Frost, which, as I'm sure most of you probably imagine, it's just basically like a mixture of menthol and cherry. I wasn't too sure whether I'd like this or not when I first got it. I thought the idea of sort of cherry and menthol might be quite a nice little combination, but like I said, I wasn't too sure when I first started trying it. Now, ironically, I find that this to be a far stronger menthol than the menthol, but it's also equally just as strong as the actual sort of cherry flavour. I mean, like the cherry does come through very strong indeed. It's not a subtle cherry at all. But yeah, from the menthol side of it though, I think it's actually a stronger menthol than like the actual just sort of plain menthol, and it hasn't got that sort of minty taste to it. It's like, you know, a proper strong, nice strong menthol. But the cherry is, you know, like I said, it's equally as strong. You've got a very strong flavour of cherry, and it is obviously that sort of semi-artificial sort of taste of the like the cherry. But you know, the two combined do make for like a very nice flavour. The best way I can sort of describe it, I can't remember if it's tunes or lockets, which is basically like if you've got a cold, you can buy these sort of, I suppose they're sort of like sweets, and you know, you can have them, and they're like very sort of strong, full of like mentholyptus and that, and clear all your sinuses and that. And I know there's one of them, it's either the lockets or the tunes do a cherry version, and I'd say it tastes pretty much exactly the same as those. But the actual cherry flavour in it is, obviously it does taste that sort of slightly artificial, but it is actually a really nice cherry flavour. And I'd imagine that just the cherry flavour on its own, I'm going to assume they do a cherry flavour. I can imagine if it's the same cherry that's used in this liquid, then it's probably a really nice flavour, that one. But you know, overall they're all like very nice flavours. I'll say if you like your fruity type ones, then you're probably going to really like the Red Bull. If you like your menthols not to be overly strong, you're probably going to quite like the just like the plain menthol. If you fancy a bit of a mix up and have a nice sort of cherry flavoured menthol vape, then I'm sure you'd really like that one. Okay, so you know, if you fancy trying these out for yourself, go along to www.alba-vapours.co.uk. Thank you very much for watching, and also come along and visit my website at www.e-cig-reviews.com. That's e-cig-reviews.com. Cheers guys, happy vaping. See you later.